Hey everybody, this is Dream. Sorry for the delay today. I was traveling, but we have got a good slate here. We have a 5-game NBA slate. Hope everybody did well yesterday. Embiid went absolutely crazy. He was our top core play, and he scored 113 fantasy points, something like that. So hopefully we get one of our guys doing that again today. Obviously that's unlikely, but we've been doing pretty well. We also did well in college basketball yesterday. I haven't really had any time today to do research for college basketball, so I won't be putting that in the video. But I hopefully will throughout the day, and if I can, then I will post a write-up on the post here on YouTube. So look for that, but I can't say for certain if I'm going to have time to do that. So with that said, let's get into this NBA slate for you. So we have 5 games. We actually have a pretty simple injury report today. Not a lot of questionable tags, so that's nice. For the Pacers, Halliburton is out and Nembhard is questionable. For the Knicks, Hartenstein is questionable. Robinson remains out. For the Nets, Simmons and Sharp are both out. For the Blazers, Sharp and Williams are out. And for the Lakers, LeBron is out, Vincent is out, and the Clippers, Zubac is out. So we do have a lot of guys out, but we don't have a lot of questionable tags. We should be pretty much where we want to be. LeBron or Anthony Davis is probable, so I expect him to play. But our two big guys that are out today are LeBron and Halliburton. So that will influence at least some for a fantasy perspective. So let's go and get into it. So my core plays here are D'Angelo Russell and Shai Alexander. But I also had 3 other guys that I thought are really solid plays and just very close, and I'll point those out here in just a second. We'll start with Russell here, as he has played very well recently, and he's going to have a huge boost with LeBron out. He typically plays as the second scoring option when LeBron is out behind Davis, so I expect him to have a big game. As you can see, he's also been playing well lately. He had a slump in the mid of the season, which has kept his price down, but I suspect his price will pop up after this game, as he'll probably have a pretty high scoring game, so he's a core play. Shai Alexander is also a core play for me, as he's played very well lately. I think he has some good upside. His price is right at 10,000, so he just needs 50 fantasy points. While he's had a couple off games recently, he's in a good matchup here against Portland, and I expect him to dominate this one. Even though he hadn't had particularly great games against Portland yet this season, this game's at home, and he tends to have absolutely great games at home. So I expect him to hopefully get a double-double too, but I really like his scoring potential in this game. And he was very borderline, I should point that out. So I do have 3 other players I'm going to mention. These are not core plays, but they're definitely close. Colin Sexton for the Jazz, he has been playing absolutely phenomenal lately. He's underpriced for his potential here. In 6 of the last 7 games, he's been over 34 fantasy points, and that makes him a really solid play for this game. Obviously, the Pelicans do have some guys that can be tough, but he's been playing a ton of minutes, and even when he doesn't play as many minutes, he's still scoring a pretty good fantasy output. Uh, I will point out that the Jazz are seemingly relying on him the last few games, so he definitely carries some potential, but he also carries a little bit of risk. Same kind of goes for Jalen Williams for the Oklahoma City Thunder. He has been over 35 points and 8 out of the 9, and as you can see, his price is only 6,700, which means he needs 33.5 points to pay off here. He's been absolutely phenomenal. He's playing nearly max minutes most games. And this matchup is also very good for him. And the one game he played against Portland earlier this season, he didn't even play that many minutes, but he scored almost 40 fantasy points. So he looks like he's in a really solid spot here, and I like his potential. I think he'll get around 40 fantasy points in this one, which makes him just as close to a borderline core play as you can. But he's a great spot right now. And then we're going to look at Julius Randle, who has been absolutely phenomenal with Robinson out, and if Hartenstein was to miss, that would even help him a little bit more. But he's still pretty solid in price point at just $8,600. He needs 43 to pay off here, and in 10 of the last 13 games, he's been over that price point. Against Brooklyn so far this season, he had one game and he scored 40 points, but his average is around 44, and I think he's going to get it today as he's been better recently. This matchup isn't perfect, but it's definitely a decent one, and so he's definitely somebody you can put in there. And if you want to use all 5 of the guys I mentioned so far, you can definitely do that with not too much difficulty, though you're going to have to get a couple cheap guys. But we do have some more guys to talk about that are definitely going to help you do that here. So, but those guys are all in play on the slate. Looking at some other options, Austin Reeves for the Lakers. He's going to have a nice little boost here with LeBron out. He's also played pretty well lately. However, he's had more floor games recently with D'Angelo Russell playing very well. He tends to take a back seat, but with LeBron out, he should get back into the swing and have a really good opportunity here. Though it is a tougher matchup here against the Clippers. Hachimura for the Lakers is also in play. I'm going to talk about several other Lakers here in just a second, but Hachimura should move potentially into starting with LeBron out. But we do want to make sure he starts in this one. But right now he looks like he's a really solid play, assuming he does draw the start. We're also going to look at Zion Williamson for the Pelicans. Now he's played pretty well recently. His price has come down from where it was earlier in the year, and I do like his price point and his potential in this game. Though his floor is a little bit lower than I'd like, as he does tend to be somewhat scoring dependent some games. Like he's had 2 games the last 3 that he only had 4 peripheral stats when it comes to rebounds and assists. Obviously, we need him to do a little bit better than that. But he's got a great matchup against Utah today, so he definitely has that potential. I also like C.J. McCollum for the Pelicans today, as he's got a really good favorable matchup here against Utah. He's been playing a lot of minutes, and he's got a lot of potential. Obviously, whenever somebody else is out for the Pelicans, he gets a boost, but even at the full strength, he's got some good potential in this game and a plus matchup. Joker is also in play for Denver. He's got a very favorable matchup against Indiana. However, Indiana now has Siakam and Turner in there, and so that is going to make life a little bit more difficult for him. Not that it really makes too much difference because Joker is mostly stat stuffer no matter who he goes against. And as you can see in his 1 game against Indiana, he had 57 fantasy points, though he does need 56 fantasy points today to pay off. But he's capable of that. If he can get a double-double or triple-double too, that would definitely boost him up here. And then we're going to look at Mason Plumlee for the Clippers. There's a lot of centers again today like we had yesterday. Now Plumlee's a little risky, but he's had a couple good games with Zubac out earlier this year, and he looks like he's in a pretty good potential here against the Lakers, who are probably going to struggle defensively in this game. He's had a decent game against the Lakers already this season, and he's pretty cheap, so I don't know if he's going to get a ton of minutes, but he's definitely worth a look as he's a good value play. Looking at a couple other value plays, we're going to look at the Lakers' Taurean Prince. Now he could get at least 25 to 30 minutes today. He has been inconsistent throughout the season, but he does occasionally have random blow-up games where he gets over 30 fantasy points. With LeBron out, that definitely gives him a little boost, but he definitely carries some risk on the slate, but he's also dirt cheap. Same goes for Wood for them. He's actually improved and played very well lately. Despite the limited minutes, he's been actually managing to score a good amount of fantasy points. Quite a few games recently, though he does have that low floor like he had against Dallas, where he just didn't do anything hardly. But I look for him to have a pretty solid game here with LeBron out. He's going to get some minutes, and he has some potential. So does Jared Vanderbilt for the Lakers, though he is probable to play. But if he draws the start, he would definitely have some potential, as he's also dirt cheap. You could stack them, but this is a tough matchup. It's the Clippers, especially for the bigger guys, as they're going to have to go up against Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. I think from the guard play, I'm not as worried about having to go up against Westbrook and and some of the other players on the Clippers, or Harden, excuse me. But I do think that the big guys have a little bit more risk for the Lakers today. But overall, this slate should be pretty interesting, as there's plenty of value to choose from. Obviously, picking the right value is really going to have to be how you're going to figure this lineups out. I definitely think the Lakers have some potential there. And then, there's a couple options in a couple of the other teams as well. So with that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. And have a nice day, guys.